Hello and good afternoon. This is just a quick beginning Tahoma 2D slash animation slash principles of animation video. What we're going to be concentrating on today is squash and stretch. And the best way to do that is by doing a bouncing ball, the ubiquitous bouncing ball. As you can see, I've loaded up Tahoma 2D and I've prepared a few items already. So I've created 2 new levels, the first one for the ground and the second one which is going to show the arc of the ball. So the next thing to do is to create another level which I'm going to name ball. Okay, and I'm going to change the label here to make life a little easier, and we'll call that ball. We'll choose our geometric shapes, change the shape from line to circle, draw a circle, however big we want the ball. We don't want it that thick. I'm going to change the thickness of the line to 2. Create the ball. There. That'll do fine. Okay, so I'm going to hit the select icon. I'm going to select my ball and I'm going to copy it, Control C. Now I could animate on 2s, but I'm not going to because it's a simple animation. If I need to, I'll just change the frame rate to 12 frames a second, which would equate to animating on 2s. But I'm going to, in the ball level, I'm going to highlight the next frame. I'm not even going to use keyframes for this. Okay, I'm going to hit Control V. I'm going to select the new ball and I'm going to move it just off. No, I'm not. I'm going to Control Z that. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to move it to off the screen. Now I'm going to Control V. I'm going to select it. I'm going to activate my onion skins. And I'm going to put half of the ball on here, so just so that it shows a bit, so following the arc. Next, Control V, select it, have them, because it's slightly coming up, have them quite close together. Next, Control V, select it, getting closer together as it comes to the apex. Next frame, Control V, select it, again coming together. Next frame, Control V, we'll soon be hitting the apex. Which is the highest point. Oh, come on. I'm using a mouse for this today. I don't see the point in using the pen. Now, as we tip over onto the downward slope, this is where we need to start speeding the ball up. And when we start speeding up, we need to start to elongate it a bit. And because we've elongated, we can't change the mass of the ball, so we squash it, then rotate it to follow the path we want it to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that one, Control C, next, Control V, select it, rotate it slightly, next, Control V, select it, move it slightly further away this time so that it looks like it's speeding up, rotate it again ever so slightly, next frame, paste it, select it, move it again ever so slightly further away, rotate it ever so slightly so that it's following the path. Next frame, Control V, select it, move it. Very repetitious this. Okay, and we'll just carry on like this until we get to the bottom of this bounce. Make sure you've got your onion skin turned on. Next frame, and this is where we do something different. We still paste it, we still select it, but we need to squash it. The easiest way to do this is we'll rotate it so it's that way around, but make sure that it's hit the floor. Like that. Next frame, Control V, paste it again. This is called lazy animation. Move it down on top of this one still. Try and get it right on top. Or as near as you can, because we're going to squash it a bit more. Okay, so I'm going to rotate it so it's horizontal again. No, I'm not. I'm going to stretch it, and I'm going to squash it even more, and I'm going to rotate it like that, and I'm going to move it so that it's equidistant about across a bit more. There we are, like that. Okay. Remember to save, especially with Tahoma. So hit File, Save All. I'm going to create a stop point here, set a stop marker, and I'm going to loop play that just to test it. There. Okay, I'm going to stop that. Let's reduce the frame rate to 12 frames a second, and again loop it. And as you can see, as it's going up, it's slow, and as it comes down, it starts to go fast. Okay, so that is the first part of our bouncing ball done. Very easy. Obviously this type of ball is going to be something like a soft rubbery child's ball. If it was a golf ball, I would only squash it when the golf club was hitting it, and I would slightly elongate it as it was flying to give it that sense of exaggeration. So anyway, excuse me, let us get on. So next frame, Control V, select it, drag it to here, rotate, it's taking off. Next frame, Control V again, drag it, rotate, move it, rotate it ever so slightly, and carry on as before. Now this time, when we get to here, we want to start to what we do, we'll round it so that it's more the size it was before. As I said, we don't want to I'm going to copy that. We don't want to change the mass of the ball as much as possible. And again, what we want to do is, as it's reaching its apex, it needs to slightly slow down. Now for the next one, what I want to do, so I want to choose one of my round ones over here. I'll choose that one. Control C. Go back to my last frame here, which is there. Choose the next frame. Control V. Control V. Control V. rotated one. Control C, Control V, rotate it ever so slightly. Next frame, Control V, select it, move it, slowly starting to speed up. Next frame, Control V, and we're doing exactly the same as we did with the last one. Control V, Control V, Control V, and this is the one where it hits the ground. So rotate it so that it's horizontal. Want to copy that one again, Control V, Control C, sorry. Next frame, Control V, leave it where it is, highlight it, stretch it a bit more, both directions, squash it so that it's keeping its shape, keeping its mass. Okay, and let's see how that looks. So save often, remember, always save often. So I'm going to move my stop marker to here. So grab hold of your stop marker there and just drag it along to the frame and hit your loop button to see how it's looking. There we go. Ooh. So I can already see a little bit of a problem. So there, we just go along. There, I've got a frame there without, I'm missing. So copy, Control C, go back one, Control V, drag it up, turn it slightly, there. Let's see. Now hit the loop. That's better. And as you can see, it's running quite nicely. We have our bouncing ball doing 2 bounces with squash and stretch showing physics, and with the speeding up and slowing down, gravity also, which shows physics. So we could actually say that this principle of animation, otherwise known as squash and stretch, could be called physics, the physics of animation. But hey, so let's go on and quickly finish this. So we'll hit stop. I'm going to save because I don't want to lose. Right, so we'll go to our last frame, which is there. That's our last frame with a drawing. So I want a drawing again there. Control C. Control V. Move it. Control V. Down a bit. Out both sides. Now I want that one. Control C. Deselect it. Go back to there. Next frame. Control V. Select. Move. Don't need this too. That'll do. Control C. Next, Control V. Select. Move. Deselect. Control V. Select. Move. Rotate it ever so slightly. Deselect. Control V. Select. Move. Oops, I've moved the center. Move. Rotate ever so slightly. Deselect. Next frame. Control V. Select. Move. Rotate ever so slightly. Deselect. Now I want back to the round ball. I want that one, so I'll copy that one. Control C. Deselect. Go to my last frame. Next frame. Control V. Select. Move it to there. Next, and I want to copy that one as well. Next frame. Well, look at what's happened. I've run out of frames. So if I select that one, hit shift, select that one, drag these out for some more frames. I don't know. We'll go to there. That should give us enough. Okay, so back onto there, to the next frame, Control V, select, make sure you select everything. Next frame, deselect, sorry, Control V, select, deselect, Control V, select. Ooh, see what's happened there? Control Z. Right. Select the eraser. It's around here somewhere. I'm going to get rid of this. This is where I will use my pen. That'll do. I'm not too bothered about it. So let's just scrub through. Into that. Control V. Select it. Move it down. Next one. Deselect. Control V. Select it. Control V. Select it. Control V. Control V. Control V. Control V. And look, I've run out again. So go to there, go to there, extend them to 60. Control V. Control V. And that one can be off the screen. And we will extend that to 60, like so. So now if we hit our stop marker, drag it onto the last frame, we're going to save all. Now if we loop it, we can see what it looks like. Now if we get rid of our arc, if we stop that, we'll go back to our 24 frames a second, and then it's a bit smoother. We can enhance this so that we can see it a lot better by using the fill tool and filling our ball on each iteration. I'm going to select that. I'm going to move the onion screen on a bit so that I can see. Select that and just move it down ever so slightly there, like so. Deselect it, and if I go from there, that's better. Go back to our fill tool. I'm using the arrow key. Right. Yeah, that's it. That's right. I'm using the arrow key on my keyboard to quickly shift through the frames. And I'm also using this to check for any mistakes. Okay, now we'll save again. Always save. And play it. A very simple 2D moving bouncing ball animation showing the physics of an object, i.e. in this case squash and stretch. The next one we shall be looking at next week will be anticipation. So if you like this content, please like, share and subscribe, and tune in on Tuesday of next week for anticipation, which we will use a simple head turn. So yeah, should be good. Thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you next week. Bye.